All right. Hey, everyone. This is Seth, and this is Questionable Taste. And joining me tonight is my partner in crime, Kevin motherfucking Gilbo,
Hello.
and my little brother, Alex the Pussy Miller.
Wow, that's rough.
Hey, I gotta
was a
get one.
slowdown.
I gotta get one jab at you per video.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
I agree. Mine is only fuck steel cases. Sorry, it's just going to be my ongoing thing.
I just get attacked every fucking show. I don't get this.
Well, you deserve it.
At least I show up on time.
You'll find this is true. He is he's good at that. And then we have no show.
Prior commitment. So anyway, we are here tonight. We're going to talk about the Predator franchise, specifically the main four in the Predator franchise. We're not going to talk about Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2. So
okay,
that would be fun sometime.
I watched them ages ago.
Well, we will. We'll get to those eventually, but just covering 4 movies is going to be pretty big in and of itself.
Yeah.
And just trying to keep the time limit of this video. So I am going to go ahead and share this so maybe we can get 1 or 2 people to watch. But in the meantime, I mean, what can we say about Predator that has not already been said? Because that's an amazing movie. And I'm going to start with Kevin.
Okay, so fun side note, today, if I'm correct, is still John McTiernan's birthday, who directed Predator 1.
Is it?
Or did he produce it? I don't know. I can't remember.
No, he directed it. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, yeah, because there was like a little mini thing. It was like, which John McTiernan film would you get rid of? And I was like, Die Hard or Predator? Ugh.
Another fun fact, not to cut you off, also the director of The Notebook. Not many people know that.
Yep, that was one of the other ones, so I went with The Notebook.
You directed that?
Never. Yeah.
I was going to say.
No, so for my... Are we going for full-blown description or just quick snippets of what we like about the movie?
I mean, we can go either or, but keep in mind we are talking about 4 movies here.
Probably like whatever sticks out the most to you.
I mean, we're talking about the first movie, which is, I think,
that's gonna be
it's pretty safe to say it's universally loved. There's a lot to say about the movie, but you know how much time we want to spend on that, I don't know. But Kevin, why don't you go ahead and give your overall thoughts on the first Predator movie?
As I'm staring up at the Predator 2 poster, everything about it for me as like a kid, and I mean a kid because I was probably 4 or 5 when I first watched it, was awesome. Good music, in your face, ass kicking, just complete balls to the walls action. Like, I see how some people... I did read one review today of how some kids thought maybe it could have been an 80s slasher, and I was like, it's cute, that little idea, but it wasn't intended. It's not. It's a sci-fi movie. That's what it's supposed to be. Not even a horror movie. It's just a sci-fi movie. So,
with that,
I liked about it.
Okay, not to cut you off, Kevin. This is something we kind of discussed a little bit on like the Horror Syndicate, is that it's kind of understandable for people to consider Predator to be a horror movie. There are almost slasher-like tropes with it. You know what I mean? It's
almost the same formula if you really break it down to bare bones.
Right,
and I actually went like, whoa. I was like, no wonder why I've always loved Predator, because it was a space alien slasher.
Exactly.
And also, So I mean, if it is, it is, because that's the one thing that a lot of people did say is, as time is progressing, we're coming up with more of the title of the subgenres. Because back in the '80s, it was just Driller Killer was a horror film, and that was it. You know, now we're like, oh, well, it's like a toolbox murderer. It's like, no. So with Predator, it's still sci-fi in my book. Always will be.
Mhm.
But everything about it was perfect. I mean, even back then for like technology, because I understood that it was a movie, and I knew that there wasn't giant 7'5" aliens that could camouflage and wipe out teams of Navy SEALs in seconds. So everything about it was plenty, like almost, it could have been real, but it was just fake enough for you to go, this is pretty badass. And just the pace of everything. And it's like, just when you start to think it's getting bad, they kill off Jesse Ventura, and then they have that epic shoot of, I mean, come on. I mean, that scene went on, I think, for a minute and a half, like over maybe 2 minutes. Just constant gunfire. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Such a waste of ammunition, but still, so fucking cool. And it's so gripping, though, because it's like, that's the power of, like, what Macho was. It was like, if I'm going to cry, I'm going to destroy.
Mhm.
Reptar Hunter, hi, Kevin. What movie are we talking about? We're talking about Predator 1. And 2, 3, and 4 once we get to them. So, anyways, back continuing off of the epic gunfire, I always loved that too. The girl that didn't really speak English much. She's like, "You wounded the demon.
Mhm.
That's green blood." So, with that too, it's like, if it bleeds, we can kill it. So it's like, there's also another thing with lines, and that's another thing that you find out too with watching behind the scenes is Shane Black added in a lot of those cheesy one-liners. That's what he was hired on to do, and that's also they wanted him to do some story edits, I guess, and he was being too snobbish about shit, so that's why they killed him off first. And I was like, no way! I was like, you pissed him off.
Well, I mean, that was.
They know how.
I think his character was kind of written in, right? Because of that, like that was sort of like his payment. Hey, come in and do a couple of polishes on the screenplay. We'll give you a role. But he was great. I love those pussy jokes. Man, you got a big house.
As big as my house. When Billy finally gets the joke, that was pretty cool. Like I love that scene. It's like that was a hearty laugh too. Yeah. But well, after they kill Shane Black, it's just a constant roller coaster up because then it's Jesse Ventura and then Carl Mack and then Dylan and then Chavez was already dead. It's just the Predator had wounded him. Just all the way up was just good. Everybody's stories. I just wish that instead of it being Predator 2 with Danny Glover, that back then, even when I was a kid, I was like, I want to see a backstory of this team. I want to see like Arnold's team, and that movie would have sold alone. I really do think it would have sold.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that I believe the original script for Predator 2, Gary Busey's character was supposed to be Dutch.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that would have been kind of cool. But I mean, we'll get to Predator 2 when we get to it. I have a lot of love for that movie. Kevin, any favorite characters, favorite scenes in general? Like, what stands out the most?
Predator scenes that always stands out is the entrance into the jungle. I mean, the you son of a bitch in the forearm slap, that that's more current because people keep talking about it. But I always remembered Little Richard. Then
Yeah.
pretty much Jesse Ventura getting killed, gunfire, Dylan gets killed. Well, Mac gets killed because of the and his brains go out, and then
Mm-hmm.
of course Carl Weathers getting killed. With the arm slicing, like that was just epic because you're just like, and his scream.
Mm-hmm.
A
I
lot
love
of the
how that's
deaths,
like a
they were
meme,
just
though.
What
yeah.
was that?
I said I love how that's a
Memes.
meme now. The Carl
Oh.
Weathers thing. Like even in Arrested Development, they use that.
Yeah.
But then it's just, and then the last like 15, 20 minutes where it's just the Arnold and the Predator, gearing up, getting ready. Like that was cool.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. The whole movie is just completely memorable for me because if people would have to say, what's your favorite movie? And I would be like, it's a tie between RoboCop and Predator. Like,
Yeah.
them two
Those
for
are
me are just right down the middle.
Those
Die
are
Hard
two-
is in that lineup, but it's like number 5. I always loved John McClane. But Predator and RoboCop. Right down the middle.
Well, those are two great choices. Moving on, Alex. What about you? Overall,
Um,
of the first one, favorite characters, favorite scenes.
Yeah, so my introduction to Predator was cable TV, of course. I loved watching TV as a
I
kid,
saw it.
and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh wow, this is really cool." And because I loved monsters and aliens and stuff like that, and the design is so good that I was like, "Okay, I love this." And then Seth actually got me a DVD. I didn't even have a DVD player, but he got me the Predator DVD when I was a little kid. And I would bring it with me everywhere. Like it was my prized possession. I loved it. So I pretty much grew up with Predator, even though I grew up in 2000s.
Yeah, I have
Um,
to admit, when I was a kid, I'm talking like kindergarten, first grade. This is like 1990, 91. I mean, I was a loner, but at times I would imagine that, a predator was around and like I would be running away from a predator as a kid.
mhm.
Like,
And yeah, so
you're not the only one.
I haven't like watched it a bunch of times, maybe like 10 times ever, even though I love it.
Watch about 100.
The thing that surprises me the most on rewatching it is how well it holds up, just
Yes.
visually. I mean, the story and the cheesy one-liners, whatever, that's 80s shit. We get it. But like the visual effects, besides the bomb at the end, it looks good. Like it's at least serviceable.
Yeah.
The design, it stands the test of time for the Predator. I don't know how they pulled off that suit with, especially with all the problems they had with production. I don't know how the hell they pulled it off.
You need to watch the behind the scenes. Kevin Peter Hall was also amazing with that outfit.
One like complaint I have, it's not with the movie itself, but with the Blu-ray, is I don't know if you guys noticed it, but like Dylan's face is like smooth to hell. I don't know what they did.
I've heard that. Was that like like the first Blu-ray they put out?
I don't know. It's a 3-pack, so I don't know if it's a re-release Blu-ray or if it's the original Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But it looks weird. It looks like someone painted his face. Like it just looks odd.
No, I mean, I always remembered in those movies, Carl Weathers, he was always putting baby oil on because that was like one.
It wasn't that though. Like it legit looks like someone took his face and started blurring it and wiping it together.
The problem is the color correction for the Blu-ray.
Yes.
I've heard of this complaint about. I believe it was the first release of the movies on Blu-ray, and from what I understand, like the most recent release is better. but still not great. But it's the color correction
The
that
weird
makes
thing,
things look weird.
the weird thing though, is it was only Dylan, and it was only in that one scene with him meeting with Dutch. That's the only place it happened. Everywhere else, it looked perfectly fine. It was just really weird there. Probably my favorite moment is the hand reveal when it picks up the scorpion. I just love that. It's so simple, but so fucking effective.
Mhm.
It's so good. Like I wrote a bunch of notes, but there's really not that much to say. The deaths are kind of lame, but I mean it's the 80s. There's not much you can do. I wrote Billy could come back, and then I crossed it out and said never mind, because I forgot that they show him getting his spine ripped out,
Mhm.
which is unfortunate.
It's hard to come back from that.
Yeah. I totally forgot that happened. Like, I just thought it was implied that he fell or something like that. So I was like, oh, he could come back in the Dan Trachtenberg or whatever movie or something like that. But nope, never mind.
Nope.
That's like, I don't like, if I was to say that I had any complaints about the movie, it would be how they handled Billy, because they had this great setup to where he was gonna go full badass, taking on the Predator, and then you hear him scream, and then
Like, what the fuck? We had to see, what is it, Poncho, or yeah, I think it's Poncho or whatever, get hit with a fucking log, but we can't see what happens with Billy. Like, come on, man.
right, they built it up, but I'm not gonna say anything more negative about that movie other than that, because I love this movie.
Oh, same.
Are you still got more thoughts, or
I think
No, that's pretty much it for me.
no,
Okay.
but on with the Billy thing though is I think Sonny Bedlam there, the guy that played Billy,
Mhm.
purposely told them like, you're not filming my death because like he was an asshole. Come to find out, yeah,
Was he?
he's dead now. Yeah, it's like they had hired bodyguards to protect people from him, and people were like, what? I was like, I was
That's
a
weird.
real, I guess, yeah, but he was just a cocky guy that could actually kick people's asses. It's like shit.
So-
Didn't they have Van Damme in the suit before they
Van
switched?
Damme was-
Major shit fit. Yep.
Yeah, he was the original Predator. I think they even had a different design back
Crazy.
then.
Yeah, they did. Which
was-
actually is a cameo in Predators.
Yeah,
Is it-
this is the first alien they meet and kill. It's that skinny
Yeah.
thing. Thank
Yep.
God.
So for me, I've always loved Predator. Is definitely one of my favorites. It's a movie I watched a lot when I was younger. Between that and the Aliens, like in RoboCop and Terminator, like Predator just really stands out. I like the story. I like the structure. I like the setting. I love the score for it. Alan Silvestri's score is incredible in that
It's
movie.
iconic.
Yes, very much so. And I like the slasher element of it, where it's you got this alien who's invisible for the most part, and you're just taking them out one by one until there's none. It's just it's a great movie. I hands down love Predator. And really, the Billy thing is my only complaint. I don't have any other complaints. I thought the casting was really good. I thought McTiernan, his direction was really good. The camera angles were really good. It's just on a technical level, it's just a great movie. And I love the one-liners in it. I'm a huge fan of Shane Black. I'm a huge fan of Shane Black as is because of Lethal Weapon and The Last Boy Scout. And he's really good with dialogue, and he's really good with character relationships. And I think he kind of helped advance that original script.
The only one-liner I don't like is the stick around one, and I think it
Yeah.
kind of takes a notch off the whole movie for me. Just that one line. Like, I don't know why. I just hate it. But I love all the other
even
jokes.
Shane Black. Yeah, I think even Shane Black was like, I don't think he even liked writing that one, but he did. It worked, and it made everybody happy.
Well, it depends. I don't know. I'm not even sure if he wrote that line.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you got to figure too. Arnold, his star power was at its prime back then. He was known for in his movies to have these type of like one-liners. So who knows if it was ad-libbed or not? But honestly, Predator is so iconic as a movie. I don't want to spend too much time on that first movie tonight because we know how great it is. Everyone knows how great it is.
Yep.
Let's move on to what I would consider to be one of the most underrated sequels ever, Predator 2. And this time I'm going to start with Alex.
Okay. So it's funny that you guys mentioned RoboCop a lot because holy fuck, this is a RoboCop movie, but with a Predator instead. Like, absolutely. Like that whole beginning, it feels like something you would see in a RoboCop movie.
Yeah, totally.
Like
Los Angeles is totally the old Detroit in that fucking movie.
Yeah, it's fucking insane.
Oh, Detroit now.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes.
I like the consistent like backstory to why the Predator's even there, how they always come on hot years.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that little mention, but that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Mike and Danny are awesome. I love those actors did such a good job with like chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would say to the level of American Werewolf in London, similar chemistry there. Like you buy it. Like these guys are friends. I love that.
Exactly. You can tell they're friends.
It's
they're
so
definitely the Mac playing.
Yeah, it's so different from the first movie, but that's a great thing in this case. Gary Busey is perfect. I love all the humor in it. The girl Leona or whatever her name is, don't really care too much about her. I mean, she's really just there to show the like ethics of the Predator, how it won't kill pregnant women or
but
children.
that is so great because it really helps establish the honor that
I know, but that feels like the only reason her character's in the movie, which is just it feels awkward to me. It's not a major negative or anything. It's just a little weird.
Also, though, I mean, you were around for that part of that art. That generation is Maria Conchita, and she was very popular. And since LA had a very heavy Spanish and like Latino heritage, it just made sense to have her in that film too. And she did it really good. And she's always played strong characters also in a lot of movies. But she's also played very weak characters. Like she'll get killed off. Like I watched one film a couple days ago and she was nicked off within 20 minutes of the film. I was like, oh, never seen her get killed before also. But anyways.
Bill Paxton is awesome in it. Love Bill Paxton. No matter what you put him in, he's fucking awesome. This definitely goes above and beyond Predator 1 with like showing the skills and capabilities of the Predator, where it literally takes on groups of people, armed people, 4 times in the movie, and whoops them every time. It shows, the healing kit, which we saw in the first movie, but it shows like more of the chemistry side to it, which is interesting to me anyway.
Mm-hmm. I don't know what's in the wall that can heal.
You just need drywall. You're good. My favorite shot is probably the Predator invisible walking towards King Willie, and you just see its footprints splashing the water. Amazing shot.
in addition to that too, like the music, the
Yeah.
score.
That
Like-
whole section is just it's
Yes.
so perfect.
Yep.
I think they said that Peter Keyes was tracking this specific predator through many different countries and continents, which was pretty cool. As if it's been there for a while, but I wasn't really paying too much attention, so I don't know. That reveal that he can see with different light spectrums, epic, perfect, makes you shit your pants. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that Pussyface is tough as shit in this movie. We lost him. And I love the Elder Predator and stuff like that at the end too.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. I thought you died.
No, like I had another window up and running, and you guys were slowing down.
Ah.
I was like, why did that video pop up? No, but I still heard everything. So,
Okay.
yes, it was very good.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So
I love the movie though.
So you love it. Good, perfect. So let's move on to Kevin. Thoughts on Predator 2?
So, thoughts on Predator 2? I liked how they took the Predator out of the jungle and put him into the city. I do agree with Alex how it's like a RoboCop movie, you know, with Danny Glover's character being like RoboCop. You know, an unstoppable cop doing its duty and then revenging his partner. Now imagine if that was Lewis getting killed. Ooh, Robo would be really pissed.
You're putting up RoboCop 3 wins there.
At 209 versus the Predator. But I did like the chemistry between the cop buddy chemistry. That was always good. Bill Paxton, I totally agree with. Maria Conchita, I did like that. And I also liked with her vulnerability. Because it also does, like you said, shows that the Predator's got honor, but it's also like, wait a minute, this bitch just shot at me. And he's like, oh, wait a minute. No, you're pregnant. Sorry. Let go. Bye. Okay. And he's just kind of like, stay out of this. You're pregnant. Go be a mother. And it's like throws her away. I love that. Peter Keyes' death. I love that.
It's
Like-
so weird though. His like lower
Yeah.
half of his body falls down. Where the fuck did the upper half go? But
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure it out to this day. I was like, did it just get hung up on a wire and a pipe
Now-
or something?
Gary Busey just needs to come back with robot legs, and then we're all set.
Darth Maul.
And
Oh.
Dylan with a robot arm. Continue.
His son comes running in. Daddy, carry me to my machine. No.
Well, we'll get to the sun when we get to Predator 4.
Predators.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love
Predator.
the final battle between Danny Glover and the Predator, and that battle lasts like 45 minutes.
It's the entire
It's
third
like-
act of the movie.
Yeah, it's like, and they start, and you're just like,
Oh, I
It
also
starts-
want to say, what was his name?
Danny Glover,
Stephen
very
Hopkins.
good.
Stephen Hopkins killed it as the director. He did so good.
Yeah, he did.
He did. It was
Well,
actually my favorite of his movies. Like, he's always a hit or miss for me. Like,
What else did he do?
he did Elm Street 5, which is one of my least favorites. He did Lost in Space, which was okay. I'm trying to think of what else he did. He's a good visual director.
Yeah, I looked
But
him up.
his movies are generally ugly to look at.
That's
But
probably-
Predator 2 is my favorite of his movies. But I'm
Yeah,
sorry, Kevin.
okay.
Continue.
But anyways, it's the final battle. But then the thing is that what we're missing is the ode, because back then it was just a simple, respectful nod. It meant nothing else. There was a resurgence when the movie was being made in Dark Horse Comics, and they decided to put an alien head. That was it. And then, so I mean, seeing the alien head was really cool.
Yeah.
The Predator at the end showing honor, he was like, listen, you came on our ship, killed this asshole, because it's like you find out. I think it's in this one that that predator was actually a dishonored predator, and he was trying to make his back, and that's why they gave Harrigan the gun. Which that would be a good movie. Is the tale of that predator getting the gun?
Yeah. I don't know if it's so much that it was if the predator himself was dishonorable. He was a young predator, much younger than the predator that was in the first movie. But I think it's just the idea of, because it's like when that moment happens, right? Danny Glover, who I will controversially say is more badass than Arnold. All
Oh,
right.
I agree.
Yes, yeah.
Even though
when
he's
he-
afraid of heights, but yeah.
When
There's a
he
predator with no hands.
when he kills that predator and then you see all the other ones show up, it was like an oh shit moment.
Mhm.
He had his victory, and then it's like, oh fuck, I'm dead. But they hand over the gun.
the
It just shows. It further cements that sense of honor within that species. It was the whole thing with the woman, I forgot her character name, being pregnant. That was just sort of like the tease of what their species is like, and then that ending just further cements that. It's like, okay, the best man won. Here's your prize.
Kevin, I think you were thinking of Concrete Jungle, the video game. I think that's what you were thinking of with the dishonored predator.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because in that, he like accidentally blows up part of New York City or something like that. And then they're like,
Yeah, you
get
do.
the fuck out of here. Yeah.
Yeah, they put you on like an alien planet, but they couldn't use
Mhm.
aliens for some reason. Anyways, so to finish it off, all in all, music was great. I loved all the acting. I thought for me, it was one of those perfect sequels, which was rare back then, especially because it was just Ghostbusters 2 at the time. I don't think Batman Returns. I think Batman Returns came out in '92, but yeah, I mean, it was a really good sequel.
Mhm.
Everything was just good about it. The positives, like I've got no problems with it. Loved watching that film,
Yeah.
especially watching that Scorpion in the beginning. Fucking crazy cokehead.
So, Seth, your thoughts?
Yes.
Okay, so when I first saw the movie, I was pretty fucking young, right? And I had that adolescent mind where it's like, well, there's no Arnold. It's not in the
Yeah.
jungle. What the fuck is with this movie? Later on in my life, I bought it on DVD and I watched it, and I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking? This movie is perfect. If you ask me, Predator 2 is perfect. I love that movie. Like, it's hard to top the first one. I would say that it's even with the first one. I love everything about Predator. I love everything about Predator 2. And it's just, I love Danny Glover. I love his character, Harrigan. I love his team that he has. I actually cared about those characters. Like, I didn't want any of them to die,
Mhm.
which said something.
Yeah.
I love the idea that Los Angeles is essentially a jungle in itself with all the violence. I love the train scene. The reason why the Predator attacked everyone on the train was because everyone was fucking armed, right? I
Yep.
love that. Like I said earlier, I think that Harrigan is way more badass than Dutch, and like the whole third act, we talked about it. The whole third act is just one big chase scene, where it's literally Harrigan chasing the Predator, not vice versa. Then
Mhm.
you have that great line. You have that great scene where they're on the ledge of the building there, and it's like you're one of
Do.
yeah. Shit happens. He cuts his fucking arm. Just great stuff. Like, I hands down love Predator 2. No one's gonna change my mind on that. I changed my own mind on that fucking
Mhm.
movie because, like I said, like when I first saw it, I was very narrow minded as a viewer. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
just rediscovering it like years later when I was I don't know if I was in my late teens or early 20s. Um, I just I was like, why did I not like this movie sooner? And I think Alan Silvestri's score was great. I love that it's from the same writers as the first one. So like everything that they did was really it really advanced everything that they set up as far as the mythology.
Yeah.
I love and Gary Busey. I mean, how can you not love Gary Busey?
Exactly.
He's great.
And not to cut you off, but there is some stuff in the movie that should not work but works.
Like what?
Like Herb, someone's in the bathroom. You know, and then I don't think he gives a shit. You know, it's stuff like that. It has no right to be in the movie, but I'm so glad that it is in the movie.
It was a nice little like relief of tension because at that point it was a very intense movie.
The humor in this movie is so good. It's just so good.
Bill Paxton is great with all of his little jokes and you know, I even loved what's his name, Morton Downey Jr. His character as that sleazy TV reporter. Yeah.
Bodies
in the street.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I love it.
Oh look, that's my specialty.
Do either of you guys have a favorite shot out of the film?
Well, there's that iconic image of the predator up on like the ledge of a and there's the lightning and all that. But that scene was right after fuck, I can't even think of the character's name. We talked about it earlier.
King Willie,
right? Because that was King Willie's skull or spine that he was holding up, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it was a spear, and the lightning was hitting his spear.
Oh, was it? I thought he was holding up the spine. Regardless, I mean, I honestly my favorite scene in the movie though is
spine.
Is the moment where he's going after King Willie. Just the whole setup of that scene, the music, the camera angles,
the sound effects too.
Effects. It was
the sound of the predator walking. It sounded like a fucking elephant. Like you did not want to be on the other side of that.
It's good stuff. So let's see here. Let's move on.
Yes.
We're going to move on to
Predators,
which is, in my opinion, much better than people give it credit for.
Yes.
It's the best looking Predator movie. Hands down.
I wouldn't say that.
It is.
Well, see, here's the thing. Like, I love Predators. It's my third favorite in the franchise, but it's so fucking close to 1 and 2. Like, I love the story. I love the setting. I love the I just loved everything about it. Like,
Let's start with you.
We are starting with me.
Oh, okay. Well, my bad.
The idea of setting it on a different planet, still kind of reverting back to the original with a sort of like a jungle setting. I love the idea that everyone who was there are strangers, because previously we had teams, right? We had Arnold and his team; they were pretty close. We had Danny Glover and his team, and they were pretty close. All the people in Predators were all strangers; they didn't know each other, and I really like that aspect. And I like how there was different types of characters. There was, someone who was a Yakuza. There was Danny Trejo, who was, a Mexican cartel, and you have a
serial
Israeli killer and a serial killer, and you just have this great assortment of people who would handle themselves well. I think the problem for me is that there's a certain point in the film where it kind of gets bogged down a little bit, and that's with Lawrence Fishburne's character. The whole thing when they introduce him and then everything on in that area that he took over, to me, it just really kind of slows the whole film down. Because everything before then was fantastic, and everything after then is fantastic. But it's just like for me, there's something about that one moment that doesn't work.
I think the character moments during that scene make it flow for me. Like, I don't feel like it gets sluggish there, but just because I think it's entertaining seeing Topher Grace's character like walking around trying to talk to everyone. And fucking Walton Goggins is just insane.
My favorite. I love Walton Goggins. He's great.
Bitches.
I'm gonna rape me some fine bitches. You know? And Topher Grace is like, yeah, totally. 5 o'clock.
I mean,
rape time.
Yeah.
So much cocaine.
Yeah.
Like,
He's one of those actors that, like, anytime I see him in something, I'm like, I love this movie now. I love it.
Is that your girlfriend? No, that's my sister.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good stuff with Predators, and I definitely feel it's much better than people give it credit for.
Oh, definitely.
I honestly don't mind the casting of Adrian Brody.
I don't. Yeah. Me and you have talked about this before.
There's this superficial thing, especially on the internet, where everyone thinks that if you're casting a soldier, because of the first Predator movie, so if you're casting a soldier in a Predator movie, they have to be the Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers fucking type of like big muscular guy. And Adrian Brody plays what some soldiers are. Some are just scrawny, but they're good at what they do.
And he plays it very believable too. Like, he doesn't feel like he's trying too hard or anything. It feels natural.
Yeah. I liked also that we saw different tribes of the Predators.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a good movie all around, in my opinion. Like I said, I only have a problem with that one section, but not enough where it diminishes my enjoyment of the movie. And I love the fact that one of the things that worried me is because it was from a different creative team making the movie. It didn't have the same writers. It didn't have the Thomas brothers writing it. And I don't believe Alan Silvestri did the score, but they kept his themes in there. There's so many times where like sequels, well, like for example, Terminator 3, where they just have a completely different score and it almost feels like a different movie in a different franchise. This looked and felt like a Predators sequel. So those are my thoughts. What's that?
I said Robert Rodriguez and them did good.
Very well.
And I go wrong with.
So the composer was John Debney, who did Sin City.
Yep. Yeah, he's done some other stuff too. He's not bad.
It was probably his Robert Rodriguez connection that got him into it. Probably.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing though. Is like sometimes these people have egos and they don't want to do someone else's. And I understand when you're an artist, you don't want to just redo someone else's work. You want to do your own stuff. But at the same time, I'm glad that they made the choice to stick to a lot of Alan Silvestri's themes. So those are my thoughts. I'm going to move on to Kevin for this one. What are your thoughts on Predators?
I liked everything about it. I liked the pace of the movie. I liked the visuals of the movie. The music cues were good. Because I didn't more or less see it as somebody's like copying the music. It was giving it proper nods and using audio clips that fit within the movie. And the kills were good. The casting was good for everybody. Walter Goggins was definitely my favorite casting because he was just the ape shit king.
Mm-hmm. Your ass is awesome. I love everything that comes out of his mouth in that.
It's everything he says. He's just like, it's like yes.
He's so unapologetic about everything too. It's great.
It's kind of cool seeing some of those characters, just like the black dude. Like he's like this big time guy now. And
it's really weird.
Like back then, he was like just starting out, like getting popular and just getting popular. I liked how like he explained the idea of how to kill the predator, and everybody was just like, "It ain't gonna happen," and it worked. He believed in his plan, which is one thing that you always gotta see with the hero. Is that if they believe in their plan, it usually works. I liked everything about it. I also liked the suspense of the ship exploding. That was cool.
Yeah.
Well, there's a nice little misdirection there because you think that Adrian Brody's character was on there.
There's at least double to triple misdirection in that scene with the serial killer reveal.
Yep.
How twisted he is, the ship exploding, the predator, the guy trying to suck up to the predator, and the predator is just like, fuck you. And of course, that predator was a berserker predator. He had already gone mad. Like on Star Wars. I do not know Star Wars. Okay, cool. Everything about the movie was good. I can't complain. I just kind of was pissed off that the Derek Mears classic Predator was killed off relatively so quick. Like it's like you had a good Predator and 3 asshole Predators. Like you had to take out the cool one. Damn it! Like I would have loved seen the cool Predator like last up until almost the ending, and then they take him out. So all in all, it was good.
Yeah. So Alex.
So you guys will probably think that Predator 2 has the best opening. I think this movie has the best opening out of all of them. I love the falling from the sky and then bam, smash cut to the title. I love that. That's so good.
Yeah.
I was trying to take notes on all of these movies as I was watching, and then so I wrote down best opening, and then an hour later I was like, oh shit, I'm not writing anything down. I need to do this. It sucked me in so fast. I love all the cast in it, honestly. I actually think Topher Grace kind of shines in this, though. It's a really understated performance, and a lot of people hate him because he was in Spider-Man 3. Big fucking deal. Get over it.
I liked it.
The Predator.
He's an actor. Of course, he's going to take any job that you can get. Like people online don't understand that. But go
on. The Predator dogs in this are so much better than the ones in the next movie that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much every shot in this movie is gorgeous. I don't know. I meant to write down the cinematographer, but I totally forgot. But whoever did the cinematography and Nimrod Intel, who did direction, they did an amazing job, honestly. I could not find a bad shot in the movie if I tried. I love the ending. I love all the kills. I think I touched everything earlier too. The humor is great. I love this movie.
Awesome. Okay, well, we're gonna move on then. So we're gonna move on to Predators, and because
the Predator.
I'm sorry. Yep, I fucked up there. I fucked up. I blame alcohol. I'm gonna start this one off. I have to go to the bathroom real quick. But anyway, so The Predator, I think, it's another one where it's way better than what people have said about it. There's a lot of people who are harsh on Shane Black because of Iron Man 3, And so I think that there was already hate on this movie before it was even made because they just don't like Iron Man 3, not really realizing that Shane Black was involved with the first one. Yeah, I love Shane Black, right? He's like one of my favorite writers because of how he can write characters and their relationships, and it shines in this movie. Um, so one of my favorite things about this movie is the loons, the characters. Like they're great together. There's great chemistry between all these characters. I think the story was story was okay. I'm not a fan of the big CGI Predator. Like I wanted sort of like the classic Predator, like actual guy in the makeup. That's what I really wanted in this movie. But overall, it's not too bad. I think it's better than people give it credit for. There are some flaws with it. I think there's some flaws with the story, and some of the stuff could be considered you could fault studio interference, right?
It was very public too.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's so many shots that in the original trailer that were not in the final product itself.
I think I was telling you they had to redo the entire third act.
Right, exactly. It has, to me, it has a really solid cast. I liked everyone in the movie. I liked the characters. I liked some of the lines. Like, I know me and Alex, we talked about this. You know, there was the one fucking guy. What's his name? He was the hippie dude. He goes to that guy's wife. He's like, your speech didn't really move me or anything, but they call me a pussy, and no one does that. That's his whole motivation for joining them in the fight.
And he walks out with a picture of the lady's kid.
Yeah. And then there's the there's a whole thing. Shisha pushy, yeah. Thomas Jane is great. It's great to see Thomas Jane in anything. I think he's definitely an underrated actor. I really liked The Predator, which I guess can be considered an unpopular opinion. But I think there's a lot of good stuff with it. I would say it's my least favorite of the four of them.
Same. Even though I bounced around with it a little bit, honestly.
Yeah, it's not as strong as the first three, but there's still stuff I really liked about it. And I didn't really care for that final end scene. It was like they were trying to take it into the Marvel type superhero world where there's that suit.
Killer.
But overall, I enjoy it. I like it better than most people like it. Mostly because of the character stuff. I think if you really sit down and you analyze the characters and the relationships and everything and the dialogue, it's really strong. Some of the humor is a little bit forced at times.
Yes.
Olivia Munn's character was like, she was okay. It's not her fault. It's just like they tried to be comedic with her character at times, and the whole thing with her chasing after a predator didn't make a whole lot of sense. It's funny she shot herself in the foot with a trank, but
he's gonna catch her and then he just fucking
that's great. It's comedic, but not everything in that movie worked. Fuck, there was another point I was gonna make that I really fuck.
The ADD?
No.
Solution.
What the hell was it? There was something I was just gonna bring up.
The dogs.
No, it wasn't the dogs. It was
You got this. Believe in yourself.
Yes, okay. The biggest disappointment with this movie. You cast Jake fucking Busey as the son of Peter Keys, and he has one fucking scene, one sequence. That's it. That was a big disappointment because when I found out that Jake Busey was going to be coming in playing the son of his father's character from Predator 2, I was like, yes, this is fucking amazing. That's a great connection.
Yep.
That's a terrific connection. And they did not explore that good enough.
There's a really weird Alien versus Predator connection in here too, which I find very strange. They literally show the spear that from the first Alien versus Predator movie. It's weird.
Oh,
With an alien tail on it.
Oh, okay. In that sequence where there were run around.
Yeah, I thought that was really strange.
Yeah. Now, before I move on, my final point: Sterling K. Brown, awesome actor. Love him. He's great.
Mm-hmm. I love the way he dies too.
I gotta tell you, because I don't know if Kevin's seen it, and I know you definitely haven't seen it, Alex, but Supernatural, he started with it on that show, and he is such a great part of that. Like,
never heard of it.
Sit down and watch all 15 seasons. Destroy your life. It's okay. It's okay. It's like that meme I shared the other day. I thought about being a casual fan, but why not just let it consume my soul? No, but he's great in Supernatural, and you know, just the more I see him in everything, he was great in Black Panther. He was great in this movie. That he's one actor I want to see more of in films.
Definitely.
I gotta run off to the bathroom real quick, so I'm gonna pass it on to Alex, I believe this time, right? Because Kevin went first last time.
Oh,
sure.
Okay, so Alex, talk your heart out about.
Okay. So yeah, I love Shane Black too. I love this movie. I love all these movies, but I love what Shane Black did. I love the humor in the movie. It's a shame that Fox had to get so involved with it because I really liked their original story that they wanted to do with essentially a team of good predators helping out the loonies against the super predator thing.
Yeah.
I think the cast is all great. I love a lot of the world building stuff too. They kind of set up the idea of predators evolving in Predators. So I like that plot point. A lot of people don't. The whole wanting to upgrade themselves with autism part is a little weird.
I think it was more or less they wanted to study the human more. They're like,
maybe
it's kind of like you're changing.
It could have been. The thing is, it's unclear, and it's just a weird motivation either way.
Who's the only human to read their technology and understand what they're saying?
True. Okay, that's a good point. Maybe that is it.
Because he's like, wait a minute, the kid was messing with the ship.
Mm-hmm.
The dad couldn't, nobody else couldn't. I mean, the kid had his points, and like I sat down and watched it. Go
on. I really like in the beginning the whole establishing that the Predator ships have like portal technology. I love that, and it looked amazing too, and it totally makes sense for the Predators. So kind of getting to see how they travel through the galaxy and stuff like that is pretty cool. The Predator dogs are lame as shit, except for that one that's a good boy.
Yes, that one was pretty cool.
He's only there because what's his face sucks at shooting things in the head. He fucking lobotomized it.
That dog was the best.
I think the weirdest thing is I love these characters, but I legit can't remember any of their names. Oh, Nebraska. There's one.
Baxley.
Yeah, Baxley. Okay, that was Keegan-Michael Keyes, I think. Yeah.
Bexley, Nebraska.
Or yeah, whatever. But yeah, like I said, I love the humor.
You suck
Dogs
stick
kind of
and
suck.
hell.
Some of the CG was a mess. But I entirely blame that on Fox's meddling. Having to relocate the budget so last minute. There was just no way. That shot near the beginning of the invisible predator lying on the ground and the blood pouring on top of it, I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I also love the because it's Shane Black, it's much more graphic and brutal.
Oh, yes.
I love when the normal predator breaks out and he's like just shanking people and ripping their faces off and biting them with his mandibles. Yeah. All that stuff's really good, I think. It's a shame that Fox had to fuck with it.
Yep. I agree.
And
Was
now
this movie before or after the Disney acquisition of Fox?
before.
In the middle. I think it was
No,
in
it's
the middle.
before.
Or maybe we were talking.
They were probably talking about it, but that had no influence.
Yeah. But now Disney does have a hold of it. But for me, the whole movie, it was good. I've got no problem. Though, I mean, I've got some problems, but it's not enough for me to be like, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I look forward to the Predator Killer outfit, but since the thing is, it's the only one, I think it's only going to work probably for a little bit. Like if they do acknowledge it, they were going to be like, "Oh yeah, that outfit was it was just the one-off for one battle," and it's like,
I don't think they're going to be using that in the future. I think they're abandoning that.
They are. Dan
I mean, it's going to be
isn't going to have anything to do with it.
so. I don't know. I liked how they also introduced the dogs in the last one, but I liked these dogs in this one because they looked more like dogs, and they were predator dogs. I liked the humans. I liked how they were introduced. I liked the bond between Baxley and Thomas Jane, even though, like, when you find out it was like he accidentally like blew up his car, and he was like, I have to take care of him. Like, it was just like, wow. Like, I mean, I didn't notice that until watching it again, and I've only watched that movie 3 or 4 times. So it's like every time I rewatch it, I find I like something about it. The first time I watched it, I didn't care for the ADD thing. I thought it was stupid. But now, after watching it again and actually paying attention to the storyline, I was like, oh, wow.
I think rewatches are very important.
Yeah. You have, there's certain, like, it was one of those movies where it's like, you have to keep watching it and you have to keep finding things. Like, I know if I watch the movie and if I focus on something that Peter Keyes says, it would be like a whole new world will open up or something. Or it's like something that you missed because you were so blown away by something else you figured out. Or there'll be something on a computer screen. So,
well, yeah.
All in all, for me, it was good.
Going back to the whole thing. Going back to the whole thing about rewatches, it's very important too. Sometimes your opinions could change. Sometimes you have expectations going in. For example, another unpopular opinion, but I like Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 better now than I did when I first saw it in theaters. When I first saw it in theaters, I had an expectation of it. And I walked out of the theater with a bunch of friends, and we all said, fuck this movie, right? But now I can put it in, and I can kind of enjoy it for what it is, and I can catch certain stuff that I may not have caught earlier. And there's other examples, too, of where there's some movies that are so layered or whatever, that you don't catch certain stuff, you don't catch certain elements and themes or character moments until you watch it a second time.
Be right back.
There's movies that you can really like too, and then you watch it a second time and you're like, oh, this isn't what I remember it being.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, even to go back to the Halloween franchise, like, I walked out of Halloween 2018 blown away, right? Saw my buddy Josh at the mall. So we had like a 45-minute drive back to town, and we were just on the moon about that
Mhm.
movie. I watched the movie now, and the more and more I watch it, the more I'm like, "Oh, I don't like this, I don't like that. This was really stupid. This doesn't make sense." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it happens. But yeah, I mean, multiple views, it can get you to see something or not, you know. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, there's a lot of people who will see something, they'll hate it, they'll refuse to watch it again.
Yeah.
But, now, this is my controversial view about the whole film. I didn't mind the CGI Predator at all.
No?
I thought it was kind of fucking badass, but I liked CGI. I have always liked it. Now, the one thing, though, that will irk me is we will take a kid that was born yesterday, and they'll be used to CGI from here and up. But from this point back, well, that's just complete shit. And it's like, fuck you. It's like, because at one point, that was really cool.
Mhm.
Like, there's a lot of progress. And it's just like, I just wish that a lot of people and kids would put their minds into technology now. Because this reminded me, we're going back to Predator 2 real quick. Did you ever notice that the spear gun is only done in shots? Predator holds it, he clicks it, and then they stop. And then all of a sudden they go to a net that is coming at you. It sucked. But they made it work with CGI. You don't know that, though, because they had to do something with it. But like,
Yeah.
there's some films like Transformers, though. There's a lot, but, you know, you kind of got to go into the film expecting there's going to be a lot. Transformers can be another thing that we can go and talk about. But,
I to add to your giant CG Predator thing, I love when it goes into the ship and starts talking shit. It's like, all right, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of time to run, so good luck.
You're kind of smart, but you're kind of also fucking stupid.
Like they gave a Predator personality. I think that's pretty awesome, honestly. And I love the way that it takes out the normal Predator too. It just punches it in the face so hard it fucking explodes. Like, it's ridiculous, but I like it.
Yeah. That's true.
So, how would you guys rank these movies?
Going from worst to best,
Sure.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, agreed.
I did 4, 1, 2, 3, just because I love Predators so much. Like I said, I think it's beautifully shot.
Fine.
And don't get me wrong, I love all 4 of these movies. So when I'm rating them, I'm not saying, oh, this one's dog shit. I'm saying if I had to rewatch one, I'd rather rewatch Predators or Predator 2 over the first one. Just because the first one's a pretty standard, basic 80s movie.
You know,
Yeah.
that's the difficult thing about doing rankings, is that on the surface of it, it's easy for people to assume that the ones that are on the bottom you
Yeah.
hate.
If Predator's not number 1, you're a fucking idiot.
But I mean, to be fair, especially with this franchise, there's only 4 films.
Mhm.
You know, and 3 of the 4, in my opinion, are really strong.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree the fourth one is the weakest, but we all also enjoy it. So,
Yep.
Well, did we hear Kevin's ranking?
I think he agreed with yours.
Yeah, it's 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
There's
Alrighty.
no problem. But I would rather watch one, if I could watch them in a specific order, I would rather do 1, 3, 2 than 4. Like if I could watch them in a specific order.
I would actually go 2, 1, 3, 4. I'm a real big fan of part 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, part 2 is my number 2.
Yeah. It could work.
But it's hard because like the first one is such a classic. You know,
Yeah.
for all the right reasons too. But
So,
It's true.
do you guys have any hopes for the next one that they announced a few months ago?
well, I mean, it's from the director of 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was, in my opinion, solid.
Yes.
It was good.
Very atmospheric.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope it's good. And I just hope it matches with the rest of them. I hope it doesn't try to pull this bullshit where, oh, this ignores all the other sequels and it's just a sequel to the first.
I hate that trend. I hate that trend so much.
It's annoying. It'd be unnecessary for this because, you know, the great thing about the Predator franchise is that it's almost like an anthology, right?
Mhm.
But each film has its own look and feel.
True.
Each film is very distinct and different from one another. And they just need to keep going on with that. They don't have to go back to the Predator or build off of that. They can tell their own story, but make it good, make it different. Keep in my opinion, keep the score, the themes from the franchise, and just. I know you guys are both pro CGI. I'm not. I want an actual guy in the makeup for the Predator.
I think when you get the best of both worlds, I think that's where any movie really shines.
CG is good in small doses,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I don't want a full-on CG Predator like we got in the Predator. I know Kevin said that you like it, and that's great. I'm not saying that you're
It
wrong.
was so freaking badass, though. That was the only thing about it. It was just like they took somebody in an outfit and they made them bigger. That was it.
There's just something about it though, like it doesn't feel real. Like you know that it's CGI.
I mean,
I do
but
agree.
the thing with that is I used to watch like the classic Toho Godzilla movies all the time as a kid. I will take a CGI Godzilla over a rubber suit Godzilla.
Yeah, but I mean,
It all comes down to execution and what it is. With something like Predator, it's fine with a guy in a suit, especially with how well the suit holds up. So I agree, we don't need CG Predators,
True.
but I also don't mind the one that we got.
okay, so I think your point about Godzilla is a little moot here because I'm talking in terms of like humanoid.
Yeah, I just conceded that point too. Like, I would rather have a Predator guy in a suit because the suit holds up and still looks great fucking almost 40 years later, you know.
But just even the movements of a Predator is very humanoid, whereas Godzilla is a just giant awkward lizard. But also you have to consider too, like the differences in just even the makeup and prosthetic technology from
Definitely.
the old Godzilla to even now. I mean, they could probably pull off that classic, you know, type of way of filming a Godzilla movie. Just depending on how well they make the guy in the suit look, you know, the scales and in the movements. Like it's possible. I just think there's a problem where movies today rely a little too heavy on CGI when they don't need it. Like, did we really need a super Predator in the Predator?
Yeah,
There was this whole idea. I mean, they established in Predators that there's different tribes, right?
Yes.
So you could have a different type of predator going after the traitor predator without it being this big, huge CGI creature.
Yeah.
You could have just a normal predator hunt this other predator because it's a traitor.
Yep.
So, going off that to my expectations for the next movie, they had like a general plot description of like the working title that it had before it was confirmed to be Predator. And it was something about, like this tribal girl trying to prove herself. And I immediately thought to myself, holy shit, is this going to be a Predator-led film like I've been asking for since I was a fucking kid, where a Predator is the main character trying to prove itself to its other tribal predators and stuff like that? Or are they going to go direction of, yeah, this character is related to Billy, and that's going to have a whole connection, and then she's going to go after predators because of it, or something like that? I don't know. But I want it to be a Predator-led movie. I think that could make some money.
The problem with that is the predator should always be an antagonist, not protagonist.
I somewhat agree, but like in the video game that I talked about earlier, Concrete Jungle, it's a
thin line.
it's an enthralling story where this predator fucks up. It gets outcast and left to die, pretty much. Has to prove itself
by its own clan.
Yeah, like I don't think it's making it a protagonist necessarily. It's
Well, every story has to have a protagonist and antagonist. You may I mean, there'll be no connection to the audience if it's literally a protagonist predator and an antagonist predator chasing it. How do you make that relatable to the audience?
It's possible,
but the human characters in these movies aren't relatable either, though. Like, yeah, you end up liking some of them, but
they can be to certain people.
I guess, but I don't know. I think if it fuck that actually, because people love the shit out of the Joker movie, so I don't want to hear a goddamn fucking thing about antagonists can't be.
Yeah, literally the Joker story.
But that's different though, because he's completely fucking relatable. He's not an alien species.
Oh my God.
He speaks the English language. The predators don't. They have to learn it. But the predators themselves need to be the antagonists. Once you make them the protagonists, you make this special species the protagonist. You're treading in superhero territory. I don't want that shit in a Predator film.
I wholeheartedly disagree.
They can film it with the Predator still being the bad guy. It would be difficult, but it's possible. I mean, Split is kind of. I mean, I don't like how they kind of made a wimpy character, but like they kind of did with that. Like it was more bad guy driven. Yeah, they had that 9-year-old kid, and his real version, but I mean, other than that, it was more or less a horror film of a bad guy in the lead, torturing his victims and killing some.
Well, that's fine. Going to Alex's point, having a bad guy in the lead, that would be interesting. I'm just saying, for my own.
But don't make me go back. No.
I am not saying that Alex is any way wrong here with how he feels. I'm sure there's many other Predator fans who would agree with him more so than me. I'm just saying, in my own personal preference, I would prefer to keep the Predator as the antagonist and have a human protagonist. My own personal opinion. Not saying you're wrong, Alex. Just saying.
I don't know. It's such a slippery slope because there's definitely examples of where it could absolutely work. And it's, I mean, the thing about predators is they're not evil. They're not like xenomorphs. They're not made
Exactly.
specifically for a
Yeah,
purpose
they're
of
like a pride and honor
destruction.
base.
They are trophy hunters. So I don't see
yeah.
why you can't have that be the focus.
I don't know. It just for me that just wouldn't work. My own personal opinion, you know. It just there's something about the predator species being the trophy hunters. It's like they really need to kind of stick with that. And I understand where you're coming from, where having a lead protagonist predator would be appealing. But it maybe
Is it something where you would need to see it proven in order for it to like win you over?
Oh, for sure. Like, if they do it your way, or if, say, for example, you got the money, you got to make your Predator film your way, right? And I'm so against this idea, but then I see the final product, I'm like, okay, I'm wrong. This is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I will definitely admit that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's just me, like, just, you know, growing up with the Predator movies, I have a certain viewpoint, I guess, of how the Predator movie should be and how the Predators should be used in a story.
Mm-hmm.
I love the whole thing with honor, but I like the balance of where there's honor to them, but they're still the main threat.
Yep.
And there's always like this uneven balance in all the movies because the heroes of these films are nowhere near as skilled in terms of, I mean, they're close, right? That's what the final battles are. The final battle with Arnold, with Dutch, the final battle with Harrigan. These are the best of the best that the Predator comes across, but there's still that they still don't have the advantage that the Predators have. You have another Predator, and it's like they're almost on an even keel as far as technology and how to use it, and as far as
and don't get me wrong, I don't want it to be Predator versus Predator because we've seen that shit twice now. I don't need to see that again. I would just like, maybe a Predator go into an alien world and just watching through its eyes how it picks its prey and tracks and just watches, or even if it goes to Earth and it's for whatever reason it's a team in the jungle or something like that. And it's just you see it hunting these people down, but it's from its perspective instead of the human perspective. I don't want Predator versus Predator again, even though it's as a kid that's an awesome idea. No, thank you. I've seen it.
That would be kind of neat to do, though. Is like seeing it from the Predator's perspective, I guess. I mean, you kind of take the risk there of not letting your audience get to know the characters.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
they would just be getting to know that Predator if they decide to give that Predator a personality or something, or even if it's not, even if it doesn't have a personality, if it's just ruthless killer, it still might work. Even if you can't get really attached to anything, it still might work. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, what I would love to see is sort of because I don't feel like if they do another Predator, they should go back to the jungle. Okay. I would honestly, but at the same time, I would like to see some sort of like forest thing. I always thought that I would love to see like have you guys seen Surviving the Game?
Mm-hmm.
With Ice T and
Gary Busey
and Rutger Hauer. It's one of those movies, Alex. I have it on DVD. I gotta let you borrow it.
Okay.
But it's like these people, they pick a homeless person and they feed him and everything. They tell him that he's going to be their little tour guide. They're going to pay him. But it turns out that he is their prey. They give him a certain amount of time.
Okay, I get it. It's like the ultimate game.
Yeah. And so I would kind of like to see something like that happen, but with a predator thrown in. You know what I mean? So then you got the predator, and then you got this other group of people as antagonists, and then you got this one person on his or her own as the protagonist who has to survive a predator and the people hunting him or her.
Here's the one thing I hope it's not. I hope it's not a group of people hunting the predator and the predator is running from them. That's the one thing I hope it isn't.
Yeah, that would totally take away from it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
So would.
But if it was human led, give me something like Apocalypto. Get something like that. I'll take that. Just one person trying their absolute fucking hardest to take it out. No team in the beginning or anything. Just the entire movie is Dutch versus a predator. You know.
That'd be interesting. A more intimate, like one-on-one type of deal. Me and Alex have just been arguing for a little bit of time, and Kevin hasn't been able to.
Oh yeah.
It's like, huh?
Hey, Kevin, how you doing? Welcome to the
All
chat.
right.
Yeah, welcome back, Kevin.
No.
So, what would you want to see for this franchise going forward?
Or do you want it to die a horrible death?
No, I kind of like to see more of like a kind of like an anthology. Take one predator ship, and then take each predator and put them on a separate episode, and you get to follow that predator and its kill and how they have to kill it.
That'd be kind of cool.
I think that would be more appealing and appetizing because then you get to see how the predator can interact in different landscapes. I mean, you don't need a 3-hour film for the predator to play in water. Give them like 50 minutes, like what they've done with The Mandalorian. Just put them in different scenarios. I think a TV show could work. I know they're doing a comic book. I just want to see more Predator solo stuff, and I want to see more Predator technology. That's all. I want to kind of see, even though they're a nomadic tribe, I would like to see a home world because they gotta come from somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, you do in a different movie that we're not discussing here.
Yeah, one of the AVP2, right?
Yeah. One of the very few well-lit shots in the movie.
The only time you could see anything in that movie.
Yeah.
I would really like to see like a Predator Western movie.
Yep. Sands of Time, I think was. They did that for a comic.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And explain the gun that was given to Harrigan.
It's chasing after Doc Brown.
It's good.
Who's actually the father of Gary Busey.
Yeah. All right, guys, we've been going at this for a while now.
Yeah.
So,
all right, fair enough. Let's end it.
Final thoughts from Kevin.
Oh no, it's good. Even though some of the entries have been weird, like the last one, I'm glad to see that the Predator franchise gets to continue on for a new generation. It may not be what we will know or be comfortable with, but it's not ours. We've had ours. It's time for something new. So I'm going to miss Fox and the old Vision, and I just pray Disney doesn't fuck it up. That's the only thing I can do.
Keep the faith.
My movie's done. It's Predator 1 is done. They can't change it.
Yep,
that's it.
Exactly. All right. What about you, Alex?
I'm gonna have a Predator movie, and if it deals with more ADD and he loves it, so be it. It keeps the Predator alive.
Exactly.
That's a very good point, Kevin. I definitely agree with that. Like, and I'm finding this too, especially with my conversations with Alex about many different things, many different opinions. It's like I have these stubborn beliefs of my own about certain
Do
movies
you?
based on you know, the fact that they're in my generation and they should be a certain way. I totally admit I'm totally fucking stubborn. I'm very stubborn. I wonder where my oldest daughter gets it from. But at the same time, like Kevin brought it up, we had ours. It's time for another generation to discover these, and however these stories are told, they can't take away ours at all. We'll still have ours, and let these younglings enjoy theirs.
Yep.
So it was a good point, Kevin. Alex, go ahead. Final thoughts.
Yeah, like I said many times during this, I love this whole franchise. Predator will always be my shit. It was my first horror movie, I'm pretty sure, I ever watched. And I have to agree with Kevin and Seth's point there with, you know, the ones that we grew up watching and stuff like that we are accustomed to. We still have them no matter what happens going forward. And hopefully we can get some new Predator fans on board too with whatever Disney Fox produces
And
going
seriously,
forward.
you should look into the old Dark Horse comic books with the Predator.
I've read a couple because Seth had a couple actually.
They were really good.
Well, I mean, Alex, I feel like you got lucky in a certain way because you had this awesome big brother who got you into all these.
That's how.
Who got you into all these great movies?
Yeah,
because,
but
hey man, if you didn't have me,
also this awesome brother also made me watch like In the Mouth of Madness and stuff like that, which is a very subpar film and stuff like that. So no, I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
But, next time I see you, I'm breaking your nose. No.
I was just fucking with you, but I agree though. I was very fortunate because I got 2 Terminator movies right off the bat. So I was actually able to be excited for the third one, and I had 2 Predator movies off the bat, and then 2 Alien vs. Predator movies, and then I was able to be excited for Predators, which I actually saw in the theaters with you, Seth, and it was very fortunate. Like I could grow up with those movies still, and I'm excited to see where they go, if they're gonna do movies or if they're gonna do a TV series like they're doing with Alien. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, in Aliens, the human's always the worst monster.
Yes. Thanks to Prometheus and Alien Covenant for making that clear.
My final thoughts. These movies are great. The last one is problematic in certain areas, but it's still not bad at all. I think it's a very strong franchise. It's really hard. It's not like many other franchises where you could say, well, that one's shit. All these are actually really solid. So I like them.
Yep.
I'm going to continue to enjoy them. I'm going to continue to be excited for them. No matter what they do, I'm going to give them a shot. Okay. Even if they go in Alex's direction of what he wants, which, I've made clear that I'm stubbornly against. But I'm going to give them a shot. I'm going to be excited. Every time they announce a RoboCop or Terminator or Predator or whatever, I get really excited.
Same.
Really, really fucking excited. It's just, I'm glad that these franchises continue. I mean, this is something from the 80s that's still going on. It's great.
40 years later.
Yeah. But anyway, I think we need to call it a night.
Yep.
I've been sitting here for way too long. I did an hour conversation with Ray right before this about Superman, and I've been sitting here for way too long.
If
So
you
you
can
just
watch
have
movies all
Ray
day, you
join
can sit
us
there,
part.
bitch.
Well, it was funny because usually when I drink, like I stand up and I'll pace around a lot.
Yeah.
So for me to sit here and drink and just stay sitting,
All right.
You should have seen my attempt at writing notes because I was drinking while watching these. But
I could just see your notebook full of crayons and I like Predator.
I was like trying to read some of it. I'm like, what the fuck does that say? But I figured it out.
You'll have that.
There you go, Seth. Horror Syndicate homework for you. Ghost Story.
I've never heard of that.
That one. Madman Mars. This is a good one.
Are those
Check 'em out.
Italian ones or?
No, those are American ones. Ghost
Jeez.
Story was done by Scream Factory, actually.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I'll leave them at that. Let you get you see the posters, get interested like the old days.
Yeah, right.
All right. Anyways, that's it for tonight. Any
All right.
sign-off quotes, gentlemen?
It was a good talk. I think we covered everything pretty well.
Yep.
We rambled on a little bit, but to be expected.
Still got good chemistry.
Yep. And we'll have to figure out our next topic.
Yeah, we can just message each other about that.
All right. Good night,
All right.
everyone.
Good night,
Night.
guys.